Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's packed program, I'm going to be going through obviously the 60-day cycle and the bigger picture view, but I'm also going to show you this particular indicator as per the title of this video, this incredibly accurate Bitcoin indicator that no one seems to be watching, but always seems to give a very strong clue as to what may happen. It's a great signal to watch out for, so we must pay attention. So if that sounds interesting, then without further ado, get yourself a cup of tea, sit yourself down, eyes on the screen, and let's get cracking. Okay, before we begin, the usual polite reminder, please remember everything in my videos is just for educational purposes, so please always do your wider research before you make any investment or swing trade decisions. So let's get straight into this. So what is this incredibly accurate indicator? Well, I'm going to go through the history of this indicator from the last cycle, and you'll see that it actually works in certain circumstances, and this is where we are now. So we have actually bounced right off this white line here. So the question is, are we now going to go to the upside as per this indicator here, as this bounce says, or are we going to just retest it one more time and then have a bounce? So let's have a look historically exactly how this indicator seems to be working. But before that, I can give you the actual settings for this indicator. And it's the same indicator as this one I've been showing you for the last few weeks. It's called the RSI Entries MTF. So when we zoom out, you'll see that it's exactly the same one. So this indicator was also part of the confluence that this is where the price for the Bitcoin is going to come back before we have a big correction down here. And that is currently at around about the 45,000. And this white line seems to work all the way through the bull market. But in the bear market, it doesn't give you the accurate signal. So let's just have a look whether that actually fits here. Let me give you the settings before we start. The settings for this one is, the last time I showed you this, I showed you that the upper band should be ticked over here. But for the white line here, you should tick the lower band one over here. And the color I've changed to white, just to give you the contrast. And the inputs are exactly the same as I showed you last week. In order to show you this more accurately, I'm going to take away the yellow line. Having topped out at the $64,000 mark, price started falling. On the way down, it didn't respect the white line, except when it started to turn around down here. So you can see at this point and at this point here, it bounced straight off all the time. It just kept bouncing off. So once you know the trend is to the upside, this plays a very crucial role. So on the way up here, you can see it kept bouncing off, lost it there. But once we topped out at 69,000, it started behaving as it did in the previous bear market. So from the previous bear market that we had from November 2021 here to the bottoming out at 15,400, we can see that it didn't really respect the white line on the way down. However, our narrative now is that we're in a bull market. So how does this respond at the moment? Let's have a look in the last 6-7 months what's happened. So since we bottomed out here at 15,400, we can see that the price came to the white line and bounced off here once, twice, 3 times. We lost it there, so not 100%. If we move to the current price action, we can see that virtually bounced off this one and this one here and this one here as well. One more here and one more here. So currently it brings us to this price action here. So as we can see, as soon as it comes and hits the white line, there seems to be a little bit of a run up from that white line on most of the occasions. And the question now really is that, are we going to bounce off this here? So if it's a majority play, then this should come back up to the upside, as we've just bounced off the white line here. So only time will tell, but if you want to have this on your charts, it's very, very important to have it. So it's a good line to have on your charts, just like the yellow line. And that is that once the price comes back down, it seems to find support on the white line with a big move to the upside. And that can help in your long-term trading or in terms of your swing trading. Okay, moving on to the 60-day cycle, and what we really have is this confusing picture. So on the daily chart, obviously this is where the 60-day cycle is, we seem to be showing a confusing picture where the price can really go 50-50 either way. But as we'll see from the larger term time frame, that we still seem to be in a bullish picture on the weekly chart. It seems to be only a matter of days before this breakout occurs over here, either to the upside or the downside. And we'll have a look at this now and see where the possibilities and the probabilities are. I just want to address one thing in terms of where the narrative really is, whether this is a bull market or this is a counter trend rally. So having been watching quite a number of the YouTube videos, a lot of bearish channels still out there, and while they can still be right, I would never dismiss anybody. I always respect other people's work and how they see the market. All I would say is that if you just zoom out, it gives you a bigger clue as to where we are in terms of the narrative of whether we're in a bull market or a bear market. If you just have a look at the previous cycle, once we topped out at the 20,000, then we did come up and make these counter trend rallies like this one here, and this one here, and this one, all the way down. And then it came up to this neckline. And when we broke back down, but when you come back up and then break the previous very strong neckline here, that gives you a clue that you've now bottomed out on the bear market, and now we're in a different narrative and gone into the bull market over here. And you start making 12-month highs on this side of the equation of the bull market. And I remember a lot of people over here kept saying it's going to come back down to all these levels, went up to the 14,000. And yes, it came down in this COVID situation to create a double bottom over here. But even when we started moving back up here, everybody was still saying we're going to come back even lower. And I've never understood this permanent bearish outlook forever and ever. And I remember even at these points, people saying we're going to have a 60% crash, 80% crash. And it just never seems to end there. And currently, the same channels are saying exactly the same thing again. So they missed all this bull market here and now claiming, oh yes, we were always right, that we called for a bear market down here. But they still haven't changed their narrative, because this over here does not look like a counter trend rally. When you look at the previous counter trend rally, so having gone to the top at 69, yes, this was a counter trend rally here, and this one over here, and this one. You can see the characteristics are very different to this one over here. And the fact that we came to this neckline of the 12-month period here, and we've broken through that, that was a real confirmation. And having come above that line and used it as support over here, tells you that we have bottomed out over here and we should go to the upside. Yes, if we break the 25.2, I'll change my narrative, and I'm happy to do that. I will go with the flow of the market. I don't have any particular liking or disliking for the bull or the bear market. I'm just here to read the charts, and if it tells me that the price has now moved below the 25.2, yes, okay, this is a bear market, fine. Then we have to actually look at the market from the bearish perspective once we break this. But until that happens, this is a bull market, and it's going higher and higher. And the problem we have, if you don't get the right narrative, is that you miss all these big moves up to this side here, because you're expecting the market to come down here. And it's a mistake a lot of people do, who actually side with either being a permanent bear or a permanent bull. Okay, so having decided that we're in a bull market, we're in these 60-day cycles, which sometimes when they don't seem to be working as you want it to, people think, oh, does it not work anymore? Of course they do. They've been working absolutely fine for all the assets for as many years as you want to care to remember. So they work continuously. It's just you've got to understand, the thing to remember is that they don't always go and become right translated cycles or left translated cycles as clean as you want them, because this is an asset which is going up and down. It's very erratic, and we just need to be able to understand and fit them in within the 60-day cycle narrative, which gives us always a bit of an edge. So coming back to the 60-day cycle, currently we're on day 46 here. So we're well past the midpoint, and if it's going to make a right translated cycle, it really needs to go within the next day or two. Because when you look at the previous 60-day cycles, if you look at this one here, the first cycle out of the bear market, we came to actually the first 30 days over here, that this was the midpoint, and we'd already made a higher high after the midpoint, but the market then declined. And what it did was, it was after day 46 over here that we actually went and made another right translated cycle and made a higher high. So it's not out of the realm of another big move coming up in the next few days. It can happen. It has happened here. before. This is quite a good clue as to a possibility that could happen over here, because when we actually came and broke this neckline down here, the narrative with this bear flag was that it's going to come down much further, but the market did the unexpected like it normally does, and it actually moved much higher, and it caught people over here who went into big shorts, and they were expecting the market to come down here, but it actually took them all by surprise and shook them out of the market. So once again, we're forming another bear flag here. So the narrative would be that the market will come back down to this level here at the 28,400. However, having said that, all we can say is that the deeper you go into the cycle and you're not making a right translated cycle high over here from the previous high before this midpoint, is that the deeper you go, the less chances you have. So as we've been going deeper and deeper into the 60-day cycle, the probability has now been switching more towards the fact that we're going to go and probably test this 28.4. So that's where you would be. So on the whole, it's probably a 60-40 split now towards a 28.4 test down here. So going deeper into this cycle opens up the possibility and the probability of this 28.4 as well as this 27.3 points here. So these two could easily come back down here around about the 28.4, 27.3 before we start moving back to the next cycle high. However, if we have a close look at this, we can have a look at some possible and probable scenarios of what could happen. Well, before I do that, you can see quite clearly the blue line, the 8 EMA, we're finding very strong resistance on the blue line. We've tried once, twice, 3 times and 4 times, and now currently once again trying to get back above the 8 EMA, and we keep getting rejected at that point. So until we get above the 8 EMA, the narrative for this bear flag is to the downside. So what are the possible scenarios? What would be a very bullish thing to happen? So what would be bullish for the price would be that if we do break out in the next few days, which is what I'm expecting, if it does break to the upside, we could retest this level here around about the 30,400, get rejected at that point, and then make our way into a 60-day cycle low over here, which is higher than this point here. So you make a double bottom into the 60-day cycle, which doesn't break this point here. That would be incredibly bullish for a big move to the right side towards the 30,000, 31,000. And this time I would expect the 31,000 to break. And if that does break, then it opens up the probability of going all the way up towards our targets over here. So the 31,000 would be here. But as we know, with the actual previous price actions, these are the levels to look out for, around about the 32,000, 33,000, 34, 36 around here, and then the big one over here with all this price action at around about our target price of between 40 and 45,000. But if we break to the downside, then we would expect some sort of a support at the 28,400 level here, and failing that, it would come down to about 27.3 over here. So the scenario would be to come and test this here, go sideways for a few days, go and test the 27.3 before we start moving back for the next 60-day cycle. So anything can happen over here for a bottoming out process on the downside. So I certainly wouldn't be expecting it to break below the 27.3, but we could, as a last resort, come and retest the 25.2 one more time over here. It seems less probable, but the possibility is still there. Okay, a quick look on the weekly chart, and we can see that with the 8 EMA, we just about lost it last week. It closed yesterday just below the blue line, the 8 EMA on the weekly chart. And at the moment, we're just wrestling with it at around about the 29,300, 29,400 level. So we need to get above and close this week above the 29.4 for this bull flag to play out on the weekly chart. So while we've got a bear flag on the daily chart, we still have a very bullish picture on the weekly chart here, because having made a big run up here, we're still consolidating at the top third of the price range. So like I say, it's a very confusing picture and it really can go either way. So being in this bull market over here, at this stage of the cycle, of this 4-year cycle, we really shouldn't be anywhere near this price here, around about the 25.2. We shouldn't really be revisiting that again, because we've already done it one more time here, having gone above it. So this was a classic charting pattern here, but to come back down to this would not be a very good look. and certainly if we break this would be really bad. So I wouldn't be expecting that. But it is a possibility, but not a very high probability. And of course, if it does break the 25-2, then we'd be spending another extra 6-9 months trying to navigate through that. So it just elongates the cycle a little bit more. But on this channel, as you know, we try to be as neutral and fluid and flexible because as investors, we know that this is a very highly volatile space. And we have to look at the probabilities on both sides of the equation. So what I'm really hoping for is that if you take the current price action, if we can break above the 30,400 level here and maybe get rejected and then come back into the 60-day cycle low, making a higher high from this point here, that would be a great point to start a very big, strong bull cycle in the next 60-day cycle. So that's what I'm really hoping for would work out. Only time will tell. Okay, so before we go, I just want to mention that for the private members videos that we do on the Wednesday, I'm going to start introducing certain indicators that will help and assist and guide us to actually make much better trades on the swing trades for the Bitcoin miners. And one or two of the things that I've been looking at, I'm going to start introducing on the Wednesday's videos now. And one of the best ones I've come across is a combination of two indicators which give us a lot of good signals in terms of buying and in terms of selling over here. So you can apply these to all the Bitcoin miners, and it's something that I'm going to go through for the private members. And the reason why I want to do that is because we've still got around about 2.5 years to go from where we are currently to where we expect the market to top out at the end of 2025. And this is a great opportunity to do swing trades as well as the long-term trades within the next 2.5 years. And while we're already doing quite well in our swing trades as well as our long-term trades, long-term investments, many of the members would like to do more trading while we're waiting for the cycles to pan out. So what we've got with this particular combination of the indicators is that what this combination of the two indicators does, it gives us around about an 80% success rate from what I've seen. So it's not 100%, but what it does is it gives us a very good assistance and guidance along with our understanding of the 60-day cycles from which to do the swing trades. So from this Wednesday onwards, I'm going to start introducing some of the indicators that I've come across that seem to be quite useful in that goal in terms of swing trades and long-term investments. And if you want to join us with the Bitcoin Miners Club, which is where we cover all the Bitcoin miners and have a look at some undervalued companies which we've been looking at for the last 6 months or so, then all you have to do is to click the join button over here, and this will give you the access to all the previous Bitcoin miners videos that we've got and the swing trades that we've had so far. And I know many of you have been commenting that you may well have lost out on the Bitcoin miners portfolio where it started here back in January, where we had a starting capital of about 110 and we're now up to around about the $400,000 mark here. So you may feel that you've actually missed out on the actual beginning of these Bitcoin miners. However, as I've said before, there's a long way to go for these Bitcoin miners. We're looking at something like 20, 30, 40x for some of them, if not a lot more than that. And the great opportunity, I think, with the Bitcoin miners in the short term is that while the price is hanging around this 29.30 level, and we're expecting the price to move up to these levels here, as given by these indicators that I've showed you over the last many weeks, of around about 45, maybe even to 47, 48,000. So in this region, we're going to be having what I would expect quite a big crash down here. And what that does is present another wonderful opportunity for the Bitcoin miners, because as we know, they are a leverage play. So as we go up here, these Bitcoin miners will go up by much greater than Bitcoin. However, when we do have this crash over here of around 30-40% with the Bitcoin, then the chances are, the probability is that the Bitcoin miners are going to come tumbling down, where they will present an amazing opportunity for the second time, a second bite of the cherry. So in the next few months, I would be expecting that to happen, and that would be your chance for those of you who missed the opportunity to get in at these levels here, at these buy prices of 422 with Marathon, which is around the $16 mark, and with Cypher, which we were picking up at 65 cents and is currently around the 380 mark. So to get back to something similar to that, this is what I would be expecting. Maybe not come back to the original prices in January, but before we go to the next phase of the bull market, where we would be expecting a parabolic move after the halving next April. So once we come up to here and get this correction, this will be a great opportunity to pick the Bitcoin miners one more time at a cheap price to go into this big move that we're going to be getting from the halving in next April in 2024, all the way to the end of the bull market, which we expect around about the end of 2025. So this would be an amazing opportunity to pick what we didn't pick up here. You should be able to pick up over here as one more bite of the cherry for the Bitcoin miners. Okay, so we'll leave it there. I hope you found value in the video. If you found value, then please do remember to like and to subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you have any comments, questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.